What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Wednesday NBA slate, and we have some good ball games in there, highlighted by the Cavs and the Thunder. We'll talk about it. I'm with two of my favorites, Michael, Fiddle, AC, the analytics capper. Man, I haven't done a show with my guy in a little bit. I'm excited to get back into it. You know the deal. We give the play, we give the cap. We are recording this live from our Tommy John home studios. Fiddle, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been running really hot. This might be the end of a long winning streak tonight. There's a few things I'm sweating right now, but in general, what a great start to the year for me. I'm running good, and I hope to keep it going.
Yes, always like to see the run good to continue to run good. AC, the analytics capper, family time and betting hoops. What more do you need? AC, what's up?
What more do you need is right, man. Fiddle, positive mojo only. You're going to end the night really hot and keep the streak going. Things have been looking good for me outside of the NFL. Hopefully the NFL playoffs will switch that up. But NBA has been awesome, so let's continue cashing these bets.
Yeah, no doubt. Wednesday NBA slate. Give the cap. Get you guys out of here. Michael, Fiddle, give me your best bets for the Wednesday NBA slate.
Going right to the marquee game. Give me the Thunder Cavaliers under 228.5.
AC, the analytics capper.
I got two plays. I got the Detroit Pistons in the first half, -3.5, -4, depending on what you're looking at. And then another big game tomorrow night. Outside of Thunder Cavs, you have the Spurs and the Bucks. You have Greek Freak and the French Freak. I think Giannis is going to show out. Rebounds and assists over 17.5. I think Giannis is going to do work tomorrow night.
I agree. I'm going back to the marquee matchup. I'm going Cavs first half. Money line should be around right around -120 would be my guess here. -1, probably like be -110 would be the line for the first half. But on the money line should be like right around -115, -120. Get the best number you can as we record this Tuesday night at 11:12 p.m. Cavs first half money line. I'm going Cavs full game -2, -110 in the market. All right, AC, I'm coming right back to you since me and Fiddle will cap it with the Thunder and the Cavs. Talk to me about the Pistons and why you're looking at the first frame, and then we'll get into the Giannis prop.
So I know a lot of us here at Action have been on the Pistons early and often this season. I know a lot of us were on the over wins totals. That is looking great because they are 8-2 in their last 10. They're playing a lot better basketball. We knew heading into the season, they picked up pros, right? They picked up professional basketball players to build around Cade and that young core there. So it's been great to see. They've won 4 straight, again, 8 out of the last 10. I think they're going to continue to roll. And it's easy to play against Brooklyn because there is not much in terms of complexities on offense. They're still trying to integrate D'Angelo. We don't even know if D'Lo is playing tomorrow night. Doesn't matter for me. I think Pistons come out early and often tomorrow night and set the tone. So I like the first half a lot more. The spot is honestly a Brooklyn spot. They've lost 2 straight. They haven't covered those 2. They've been blown out by the Pistons and the 76ers. Or sorry, by the Pacers and the Sixers. So it's kind of like a buy low spot for Brooklyn. But they're just a really bad team that you want to stay away from, not only from an outright perspective, but also from the spread perspective. So I like the Pistons first half, and I like Cade to put his fingerprints all over the game in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Fiddle, they've won 4 straight. If we're looking at just the first half numbers, Brooklyn has been solid this year, 22-14 in the first half, ATS. But Pistons are hot. Fiddle, what do you think of the play and just the overall Pistons and how they've been performing with Cade as the head of the snake?
I think this is a smash spot for the Pistons. I played them full game myself. I'll probably look to jump on AC's play and tack on some first half exposure. As many things that he said great about the Pistons, you could say the exact opposite about the Nets right now. Like 0 incentive to win, actively doing things that seem to be losing strategies. Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas probably going to be out. Those are the real needle movers on the Brooklyn side. So without those guys, I think it's just literally fade Brooklyn every time. You get actually a nice discount with it being in Barclays Center. Barclays Center is not a great home court advantage right now. So you get like that little 3-point bump going the other way where you'd have to pay 8.5, 9 to back the Pistons at home right now. And I wouldn't want to do that, but very comfortable laying 6.5, 7, even 7.5 on the road right now. I think the Pistons crush tomorrow night.
When the Pistons are a favorite, they're 7-4 straight up. This is a big number, but it's always interesting when you see a big number for a team that you don't think should be laying. But the Pistons are rolling. They've been playing really good ball. Always check the injury report. And Michael Fiddle is dead on when he talks about there being no home court advantage at Barclays. I'm right down the street from Barclays. I walk over there to catch a game here or there, and the atmosphere is dust. There's no atmosphere. It is a lot of road fans. It's a lot of people going to see. You want to know what it is? It's everyone that doesn't want to pay the price to go to Madison Square Garden to see the road team. They just go to Brooklyn and see the road team for cheaper.
It's probably the weakest home court advantage in the league right now.
Yeah, that's like the easiest way to put it. Giannis is in New York, but at the Garden, the get-in price is $550. You could go get on the train, get off at Atlantic, Barclays, and see Giannis for a get-in price of legitimately $15. So that's the complete. That's like what I would say the atmosphere is over there. It's a lot of middling people going to see the superstar that's in town and not part of the squad for the Nets. I will say Fernandez does have those guys playing pretty hard on a consistent basis, but there's just a lot of different things going on over there that would find it tough for me to bet him in this spot with how well Detroit has been playing of late. All right, AC, talk to me about Giannis, the Greek freak.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was trying to look for Wemby props, and there's not any that I really, really love. I think it's going to be a matchup of two superstars. I think both superstars are going to show out tomorrow night. It is the last game of the slate on a Wednesday night, so a lot of people are going to be watching. A lot of NBA fans are going to be watching. I think Giannis just shows up in these opportunities. Not that he's out there and just circling matchups, but I think he understands sometimes, when the talk is on the other guy, whether it's, a hot Cleveland team coming in, whether it's, MVP frontrunner Jason Tatum coming in, like he still wants to prove a point. And I think he has the team around him right now to just be able to do everything, right? So with Chris Middleton back and Dame scoring, I think he can be able to focus on rebounding and assists, as well as all the scoring that he's going to have opportunities to. And I think he's going to take it to Wemby. If he sees a one-on-one matchup, in the fast break or mini fast break, I think Giannis is going to go all the way in. And if he's going to have defenders helping and sucking in, he's going to pass it out to Chris and Dame and get wide open threes. So I like the rebound. Let's just look at 17.5. He might get 10 more rebounds, to be honest.
You're not slick either, AC. AC left the points off for a reason. San Antonio Spurs, last 10 games, third best defense in the entire NBA. That's ticked up quite a bit. Focusing on the assists and rebounds is interesting. Fiddle, what do you think about Giannis getting up for the alien coming to town?
I think it's going to be a good one. We see a lot of the opposing players try and get ready to go take on the Wemby experience. We had Jokic last week calling him a once-in-a-generation player and someone who will be remembered forever after their back-to-back set, one that went into overtime. So we've heard all the praise about Wembanyama. We saw it on Christmas in New York. You can't get enough of it, and so now it will be Giannis's chance to get a stab at it. And he only plays them, once or twice a season because it's that East-West crossover, and maybe one guy's resting or not playing the other night. So when you have these marquee matchups, you definitely expect the superstars to get up for him.
Yeah, I would love to see Giannis in the paint bang around with Giannis, or Wembanyama bang around in the paint with Giannis down there. Last 10 games, as well as the Spurs have been playing on D, Milwaukee third in opponent points in the paint allowed at 44 a game. So they've been pushing guys out to the perimeter. Victor has had no qualms with going out to the perimeter and playing ball. He's been letting them fly. So the versatility is there. This should be a really fun matchup. I'm really interested to see how it shakes. But, yeah, Sharp keeping the points off. Even though we know Giannis can go off either way, that Spurs defense has been playing really, really well as of late. Let's hope the points and rebounds can go over. All right, Fiddle. Let's get to the marquee matchup on the slate. I can't wait for this game. My buddy Alex Monaco is trying to get me to go out and watch Notre Dame, Penn State. I could give a fuck about Notre Dame and Penn State. I'm going to be watching the Thunder and the Cavs tomorrow night. It'll be on the main screen. Fiddle, talk to me about the game, the matchup, how the Thunder have been playing, and then why you're looking at the total here.
Both teams have been playing fantastic. We're going to get that bullshit stat tomorrow that the Thunder are on a 15-game win streak and the Cavs are on a 10-game win streak. The Thunder are not on a 15-game win streak. They lost in the NBA Cup Finals. What are we doing here, NBA? Like, you try and make us care so much about the NBA Cup, and then you give the players $500,000 that was on the line for the game. We're gamblers over here. That was the most important game. The players cared the most about that. And suddenly we're going to talk about the Thunder having a 15-game win streak tomorrow. That's just simply not true. However, the key here, Sean and AC, is the length on both sides on defense. So we know that like Dean Wade is back for Cleveland, and that's a third 7-footer that you're going to put in the starting lineup. We know that the Thunder are 15 and 23 to the under this season. At a number at 228, when I start to invoke some market perspective, I cannot possibly see it getting higher than this. This only has room to go down, in my opinion, and could close as low as like 226.5. So I think you might get some closing line value on this number. I think there's a ton of length here. I think there's going to be a ton of intensity in the environment. ESPN went out of their way to put this game on the spotlight. This was not originally a national TV game. They've recently flexed this into prime time. So, we're going to get the pregame show. We're going to get all of the hype. Then we're going to get all of the intensity. And you look at the recent intense games that the Thunder have played versus Boston, total underspot. I mean, the second half was absolutely dead. Versus the Houston Rockets in the NBA Cup quarterfinal or semifinals, complete underspot. Against the Bucks in the finals, complete underspot. So anytime we're getting these high profile games, I want to rely on the Thunder defense, which might be the best unit in all of basketball right now. So I also think that the Cavaliers have added some defensive chops in this game. So clear underspot to me. While we will be watching it, it won't be a high scoring blow up affair. It's going to be a grit and grind type of game in Cleveland.
Yeah, AC, to back up what Fiddle's saying, home and road, the defensive rating for the Oklahoma City Thunder doesn't change very much. That defense travels. At home, the defensive rating is 103.5. On the road, it actually gets better, 102.2. So that defense shows up no matter where the game is being played.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the best, offensive players for Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, they're going to be guarded by the best defenders on OKC, right? So it matches up really well from a defensive standpoint. The only thing I would be worried about is if this game is competitive, it stays competitive throughout. You might get a lot of free throws at the end. It just depends on how tight or how close the refs are going to call it at the end. I hope they let them play. I hope it's a physical game. If that's true, it's definitely going to go under. And then you guys know big game unders is kind of like a thing that, I live by anyway. So there's no way I would be on the over here. I would be under or nothing, but I don't have an official play on the total.
Yeah, it feels high. When I'm just looking at it, and before I even dug into the overall numbers and talk about home and road, it just feels high, especially with the situation and the marqueeness of it being flexed into the national spot. And I mean, this is a string of games for the Oklahoma City Thunder that have been big. But the difference here for me and why I'm looking at the first half and the full game to get into my cap is they're not playing in Oklahoma City. They're not going to be able to go down a bunch of points and then Wiggins and Dort hit a couple threes and the crowd is going ballistic and they're able to feed on that momentum late in the game. That's 3 straight games and 3 big games. They were at home, came out slow, messed around in the first half and were down and had to really turn it on in the fourth quarter to close and get the W. So in the first half, I had to back the Cavs there. Find the best number you can. If it's money line, minus 120, I'm going to be on the money line. I would pay minus 120, 115 here. Just instead of laying that point, tie game at half, you get your money back. But Cavs at home in the first half, 14-5 ATS. That's the best in the NBA. When we talk about the Thunder, they've been starting slow throughout the year. 18-18 ATS in the first half, and we talked about those 3 games being in Oklahoma City, being at home, them starting slow. I have to talk about this schedule here for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I've been on wax on this podcast talking about how this is the spookiest team coming when we're talking about scheduling I've seen in quite a while. In spots they're not supposed to show up, and spots they're supposed to be tired, 5 games in 7 days, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't seem to matter for them. They show up anyway, they play extremely hard, and they get tons of production out of the guys that they expect to get production out of or need to get production out of over and over and over. So the stretch of Boston, the Knicks, I think it has to catch up with them here, and I think it's a really good spot being the Cavs playing in their own building and not having to, deal with the crowd and the momentum that I think the Oklahoma City Thunder feed off of. I wanted to look at some of the positives I thought were going to be at play here for the Cavaliers. And one thing that jumped off the screen was they play great defense against the mid-range. And that's, of course, where SGA, the MVP favorite, likes to operate. They allow the second most attempts from the mid-range at 10.1 a game, but are 6th best in opponent field goal percentage from the mid-range, only allowing 37.2%. So they'll let you get to the mid-range. They'll let you take that jumper, but they make it a lot tougher for you. You know who's number 2, fellas, on the list for opponent field goal percentage from the mid-range is? It's the Houston Rockets. And guess who the last team the Thunder lost to outside of the NBA Cup final was? The Houston Rockets, back on 12-1. So I like that spot. I like that edge. If they're able to slow up SGA even a little bit from that mid-range spot, I think that's a really good look for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Another thing, rebounding. They're 28th in defensive rebounding percentage, Oklahoma City Thunder. Offensive rebounding, they give up a ton. They're 29th in the NBA, allowing 12.3 offensive rebounds a game. If they can exploit that, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think this could be a really good spot to get a W, make a statement. And I think over the last week or so, the Cavs have only played 2 games, and one was a softie, I believe, against the Wizards. There's going to be a little more rested, less mileage on the tracks the last 2 weeks. What the Thunder have done the last 2 weeks has been absolutely incredible with the amount of games and the quality of opponent they've played. So I'll play the Cavs in the first half. I'm going to play the money line, -115, -120, and then Cavs full game. I'll lay -2, -110.
Yeah, shout out to the NBA schedule makers, man. They're playing the top 3 teams of the East back to back to back. Knicks, Boston, and now Cavs. Before that, they beat up on the Clippers. They beat up on the T-Wolves. Crazy comeback there. So you're right, from a mental exhaustion standpoint, you would expect this could be a scheduled loss for them, right? Nobody would have any qualms with OKC coming out flat tomorrow night. This game definitely means a lot more for Cleveland being on their home court. And you mentioned it, they've had a really cake schedule, not from a opponent standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint. They've dropped 115, 134, 113, 149, 120. It goes on and on and on. All the points that they dropped in the last, 4 or 5 weeks straight. So the Cavs are rolling and they're humming. It's gonna that first quarter is gonna be interesting because you're gonna see them react to a very physical OKC team. And if they can push through that, if they can end the first quarter tied or up, I expect them to kind of pull away in the second quarter. So hit your first half and then pull away in the second half as well.
Can I throw in some live betting angles for this game if they develop? If I do expect the first quarter is going to be high paced. So if the first quarter there is some scoring, I think I'm going back to the well and playing a live under. Let's say you get like a 232 after the first quarter, and the first quarter bump from scoring starts to be priced in to what that original closing line was. Maybe it's 227.5, and they go 5 points above expectation in the first quarter, and you go back to the well with the 232 under. That's a side that I would definitely look towards. And then we're talking about the Thunder schedule. We talk about Knicks, Celtics, Cavaliers. They got the Knicks again after that on Friday. So I would so rarely recommend doing this. And the Knicks one is the front end of a back-to-back where they go road New York, then road Washington, which should be easier. But like, this is such a daunting stretch of the schedule that if you do, Sean, like if you lose Cavaliers tomorrow night, you might as well almost martingale this and then double it back on the Knicks the next time. Because this is such a brutal stretch where I'm like, the Cavs are going to drop one of these two. So try and, immediately play the Knicks when the line's open for the next one, because I think we'll see something similar. If the Thunder pull this off, it'll be the time to sell high on the Thunder as they head to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And as I mentioned, that defense travels, but the offense has a little bit of trouble on the road. At home, 116.7 offensive rating. On the road for the Thunder, it goes down to 112.8. And offensively, the Cavs have been absolutely rolling. They have no issues on the offensive side of the rock, especially as of late. So I'm not sure they'll be able to keep up offensively, especially if SGA gets to that midi and he's having a little more contests from bigger guys. As you mentioned, Dean Wade, that even the third 7-footer being involved in contesting some of these looks from SGA. And of course, shout out our guy Matt Moore, his favorite stat. Cavs 23-1 when Dean Wade plays.
That's why I mentioned Dean Wade at the beginning, because you like to find these role players who have an outsized impact compared to the betting market, right? So a guy like Dean Wade perfectly fits that, where he's not going to even move the spread probably half a point on his news in or out. But we've seen it, like every time he plays, Cavs have lost one game with him this season. So when he was out, they were like, 500 team, and then he comes back in and they're 23-1. That means something.
Yeah, he impacts. We mentioned at the top of the show that we're coming to you live from our Tommy John home studios. And that's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest. I have a bunch of stuff at the house myself, was gifted some. It was so nice and comfy and soft. I had to buy myself some more. I got some stuff for the holidays for my family. Go check it out. I wouldn't vouch for it if I didn't think it was legitimate. Remember, when you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast, if you love this crew, you'll love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. And since we're talking Tommy John, let's get into the Tommy John Ballsy parlay. We're just going to add up what we put out here. So Cavs -2 for me. Thunder Cavs under 228 from Fiddle. And AC, you want to go Pistons first half -3.5, or you want to do Giannis points plus rebounds plus assists?
Let's do Pistons, man.
All right, Pistons first half -3.5 takes us to plus 596 in the market. Also, for the individual plays, quick slip links are in the podcast description. If you want to tail, you could just click on one of those, whatever play you like the most. It'll take you right to a betting destination, and you can get that in ASAP. For Michael Fiddle, for AC, the Analytics Capper, I am your host, Sean Little. New Wednesday crew, but same winners. Go download the Action Network app. Go follow Michael Fiddle at Fiddle Picks. AC, the Analytics Capper. Go follow my guy. Follow me. I'm at Chicago Flow. Go subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. And until next time, of course, we're back tomorrow. Let's get buckets, baby.